Kanye West has teamed up with an unlikely partner to basically do a collaboration on a song called Only One. And that unlikely partner is actually Paul McCartney. Now, they did their thing, and a bunch of Kanye West fans were actually in favor of the song. They really liked it, although they didn't really seem to know who Paul McCartney is.
That's awesome.
If you want an example, let's go to a tweet. One person wrote on Twitter, "Who the fuck is Paul McCartney? This is why I love Kanye, for shining light on unknown artists." Okay, so there's a possibility that he's trolling, but this isn't one tweet. There were several young people that were tweeting, and they're like, "Who's Paul McCartney?" And so baby boomers had their heads explode as a result of this.
Yeah.
And look, I chuckled at that because it's funny. I mean, when you really consider it, people who were born in like 2000 are now 15 years old. 2000 was so recently, right?
Yeah.
And do they know everything about music and culture? Probably not.
No, look, as people age, man, we all go through this trippy thing, right? I mean, when I was growing up, the 1960s seemed like it was a million years ago, right? And now, to kids, the 1980s seems like it was a million years ago, right? So, but Paul McCartney was big in the 60s. That was a million years before me, right? Yeah. But what's funny is the reaction of the baby boomers more than it is the Kanye West fans, right? Because the guy who wrote this article in The Atlantic, by the way, Noah Berlatsky, I know he's acknowledging it at the same time, but you can tell in the article that he writes like, no,
I think that Noah's actually really understanding toward those who don't know Paul McCartney or any of the big classics.
He's trying, but I could see his head exploding through the article.
Yeah, can I read you a piece of it?
How could anybody not know the legendary Paul McCartney? But dude, I mean, look, a lot of people don't know people from 1,000 years ago. So a lot of people don't know, about Charlemagne.
Some people don't know Robert De Niro.
Right.
Hey! Robert De Niro is not Paul McCartney, okay? And that was back in 2007. I am now well versed in my actors and actresses.
No, but I never found any of that amazing. It was like, okay, De Niro's a little bit more in your time, but still mainly before your time. So why is it a big deal? Because the baby boomers, and I'm not putting it all on Noah, and I agree with what you said as well about him, but the baby boomer, I think he's accurately describing their attitude, which is the world's about us.
Yeah.
It's been like that it's true for everybody, but especially baby boomers. They're so full of themselves.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the world's about us or is for us or whatever for teenagers. Because
for the baby boomers. No,
I think it's like
that generation's been like that forever. No, they're so self-absorbed, more so than generations after them. So they're like, what? Paul McCartney was someone you have to know him, you young whippersnappers.
No, but
why isn't your world revolving around me?
Look, I sympathize with their perspective because, I mean, how do you not know the Beatles? How do you not know, I don't care how old you are, how do you not know the Beatles? That's kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm the daughter of two immigrant parents who were afraid to let me out of the house, which is why I didn't know who Robert De Niro was. I never went to the movies growing up. Like, I knew nothing about pop culture because my parents were like, like Tiger Mom, like all you do is focus on academics and everything else is bullshit, right? So I missed out.
I'm almost going to cry.
Okay, so I missed out, in my teenage years, I missed out on that, whole cultural phenomenon. But I still knew who the Beatles were.
No. Look, first of all, Kanye is a genius for bringing this Paul McCartney back. I mean, I don't know why they didn't do this earlier.
Don't call him a genius.
I know. He's also a total moron. Okay, but he's very clever at marketing, right? With that, we know we've gone through a lot of Kanye stories. Mm-hmm. Okay, and somebody should have thought to bring him back earlier. He's just been sitting around. He loves doing collaborations. Did it back in the day with Michael Jackson, etc. So it's definitely well played. But look, my parents, the first song they ever listened to together was "I Want to Hold Your Hand,"
Aww.
And the fact that my mom thought that the fact that my dad knew that made him so hip. Right?
Aww.
And she's like, okay, this one, I see you.
Your dad's so edgy.
I know, right? But that was a long, long time ago. I'm not going to hold it against anybody that they don't know the guy who was a legend in the 1960s.